So now I get the honor of bringing up our keynote speaker, a true believer. His name is Tim Romani. He hails from Champaign, Illinois, got his master's degree here at our great university, Cal State Long Beach. The important thing about him is a lot of you don't know who he is, but you will in a moment. He's been behind the scenes from the very beginning. In 2010, he and I had the first meeting. I didn't know him, he didn't know who I was. We had a conversation. I said, hey, is there any chance you'll help us on this faith journey? He said, I'm in, Mayor. I've watched you as an NBA player. We rooted for you to be mayor. Anything we can do. I said, great. It will have to be pro bono. He said, I'm a man of my word. I should have asked what the commission was on the front end, but since I didn't, I'll follow through. This is 2010. In 2011, we were in an all-star game down in LA, and David Stern, for the first time, validated and substantiated a rumor saying that the Anaheim community were going to try to move our team there. And it was the first time this rumor had been validated. And the first call I made from LA was to Tim Romani. I said, Tim, you can't bail on me now. I need you to hang around. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how we're going to get there. He said, I'm a man of my word. I'm a true believer. If I said I'm with you, I'm with you. Pro bono. That was February. March comes around, April. It was time to go to New York and talk to the NBA Board of Governors. And we're there, and I only brought 3 people with me. I brought Darius Anderson, representing Ron Burkle. I brought my chief of staff, Kunal Merchant, and I brought Tim Romani. And he talked about our building and our community and what we had to offer. And all of a sudden, the owners started paying attention. They said, if you got Tim Romani on your team, you must know what you're doing. He's built more buildings around this world, Berlin, London, LA, New York, everywhere you can imagine. That talent that he's built is now part of our team in Sacramento. Would you get on your feet and give a round of applause for our very own true believer who's now getting paid, Tim Romani. Come on up.
Wow, I've never been so overhyped in my life. I also want to open with one piece of important advice now, and that is when you accept a keynote speech invitation, make sure you do not follow Kevin Johnson at the podium. He's a hard act to follow. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone at the Sacramento Downtown Partnership for this invitation. It's an honor to be here. I do have to tell you that when Melissa and Stephanie came into my office and told me that Michael had called and asked me to be the keynote speaker, my first thought was there must be some mistake. And my second thought is I wonder how far down the list he had to go before he found somebody like me. As I mentioned, I feel quite overhyped, but I'm going to follow a theme that started with Janie's remarks, and I appreciate everything that Jason and Janie Jason is the past or outgoing, and Janie is the incoming chair, and everything that Michael's done. I worked with Michael in the original feasibility study here, so I know the talent that the Downtown Sacramento Partnership brings and the force that they bring. So while I'm a little overhyped, I at least want to do justice to this organization and try to offer some inspiring words for what you're about to undertake here. Let me set the record straight, though. I'm just a humble arena builder, stadium builder. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not everything that the mayor suggested I am. I am a true believer. That part's true. I did do this pro bono. That part's true. The rest of it, I think, is open to interpretation. But the good news is that while I am overhyped, I take great comfort from the fact that this evening President Obama is giving his State of the Union address. We're in Super Bowl week, so somewhere between the incredible oratory skills of our president and the complete lack thereof of Richard Sherman, I'm sure that I'm not going to take up much space in the paper tomorrow. While I'm on the subject of the Super Bowl, I am from Denver, and I'm very proud of our Broncos. Looking forward to that, and I will also assume, probably correctly so, that since the Seahawks beat the 49ers, there are a lot of temporary Bronco fans in this room today. Let me just say at the outset how honored I am and how humbled I am by the faith that this community has put in me and my company, Icon Venue Group, from the beginning. Not only when the mayor called, and he's correct, we did not know each other. We had never met as of December of 2010. It was a cold call, and a great friendship was born. And that friendship, the reason I was a true believer was that there's an enormous amount of faith put in me and my company, whether it was pro bono or not. It was an enormous amount of faith. And that goes to the mayor and everybody on city council. I remember Steve and Angelique and others and how much trust they had in what we were doing at the time. And I was humbled by that. I've given a lot of speeches to very important people and very important clients over the years, but I think Sacramento has been the peak for me. I gave a 2.5-hour presentation in front of City Council in a public session. I promise you I will not hold you hostage for 2.5 hours today. But it was a great moment for me, and it was a great moment for this project, and that was in May, the end of May of 2011. But the city put great faith in me, and I want to make sure I honor that and return that. And then that came again just earlier last year when I interviewed for the project, and the King's ownership, the new ownership group, who didn't know me. Yes, I worked on the feasibility study. Yes, I had some history with this project, but the new ownership group didn't know anything about me, and we had to compete for the job, and I was just greatly honored that they bestowed this opportunity upon me and my company again. So thank you for that. I'm going to jump into a few topics that I'll hit on today, and the first is I'm going to pile on a little bit to the story, and I'm going to fill in a few gaps into the mayor's recollection of what I'm calling the miracle on 5th and J, which frankly it is. I got the call from the mayor in December of 2010. He said, I need you to help run an evaluation of the feasibility of a new arena in downtown Sacramento. And I thought, that's simple enough. Feasibility study, even if it's free. I won't have to spend that much time on it. You get in, you get out, you're making new friends. You know, sort of my Italian heritage is bada bing, bada boom, you get in, you take care of this. Well, it was anything but simple. I found that out very quickly when the mayor called me, as he said, from Los Angeles. I was minding my own business, getting ready to watch the All-Star game, and the mayor called and said, we got a problem. And I thought, of course we have a problem. This project is going to be very challenging, but I did not know that a deal was in the works to move the team to Anaheim. So what started as a simple feasibility study, we had to move very quickly, and it became much more intense and much more purposeful. And my partner in crime at that time on the feasibility study was David Taylor. I know a sponsor of this event and a great Sacramentan. And David and I got together and we said, okay, Icon's going to bring the arena expertise from around the world, and David's going to bring the local knowledge and expertise, and we're going to figure this out. We're going to find a way to show a clear path for the arena. But we also knew that it wasn't a clear path from the beginning, so we had to be very thoughtful and very smart about how we went about that. But I do want to acknowledge David for his enormous contributions to that feasibility study, because I think that set a path for where we are today, and it's only been 3 years since that happened. So I'm going to pile on just for a second onto the accolades that Janie started for the mayor. But before I do that, I think I ought to establish just a quick level of credibility. I'm a very conservative kid from Central Illinois. I grew up with very traditional Midwestern values. I worked for Governor Jim Thompson, the state of Illinois, a great Republican, and the longest serving governor in the history of Illinois. My mentor my friend. I vote Republican most often. Not always, but most often. And so the mayor and I are not necessarily kindred spirits politically. So I think it's important that you understand that the words that I'm going to say about this miracle on 5th and J are genuine and sincere. But while we come from different ends of the spectrum politically, we were able to forge a really strong friendship based in trust. He would call me, I would call him. We were always on the same page, and it just was working. His intellect and his competence cannot be denied. If only he had his politics right, he'd have the whole package. So we were in a battle with Anaheim, and that wasn't a small battle. It's where the prior Kings ownership wanted to go. LA wanted a new team, made a good case for a new team, a second team, and we knew it was a formidable opponent. That's when your mayor first started showing me his magic tricks. He asked for a meeting with the NBA and was granted that meeting. And I could tell you, from all the years that I worked with the NBA, and Chris knows this to be true as well, you don't just call David and say, I want a meeting with you and the owners. Whether you're a mayor, a governor, there's a process for that. The process went out the door when Kevin called. There's no other mayor in this country that could have demanded a meeting with the owners of the NBA and received it. He did. It was almost immediate. The interesting part of this story is that I didn't have any control over when this meeting got set. So I was doing a speech in Los Angeles the day before. I had to catch an afternoon, evening flight to New York for this meeting. I ran out of LA too quickly. For those of you that have lived this kind of life, you know what this is like. I left my bag at the JW Marriott. I didn't realize that until I got to LAX. I was late for my flight already. Had to somehow retrieve the bag. Miraculously, it showed up, and I ran to catch the plane. It was a 5-hour flight, and it took 4 hours for me just to calm down and get myself collected for what we were going to do. I don't sleep much to begin with. I only slept 3 hours that night. I was still hyped up. I was amped about what we were about to go into that day. I showed up for breakfast in the morning to meet Kunal and the mayor, feeling like a sympathetic soul. And I found out immediately that the mayor had flown all night, came right from the airport to the breakfast spot, and looked fresh as a daisy. And I thought, I'm not even going to start to tell my story of what I went through. That's the way he operates. I'm notorious for not sleeping. I'm notorious for working crazy hours, but I seem like Rip Van Winkle compared to your mayor. Another quick case in point, about 2 weeks before that, I was in Palm Springs with a client. I was up late working. 2 o'clock in the morning, I had a thought. I wanted to tee this up for a conversation with the mayor the next day. So I sent him an email at 2 o'clock in the morning, and bing, right back. That was followed by my phone ringing. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, the mayor and I engaged in a 90-minute conversation as if it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I learned my mistake. I never sent the mayor another email at 2 o'clock in the morning. So let me set the stage for this day. You've all seen this. It was in your paper. But this picture means a lot to me. I wish I wasn't in it, but it means a lot to me. But that shows you that morning when we were at the St. Regis Hotel heading into our meetings with the NBA. As you can see, Kunal and I are sort of focused, kind of like we go, just sort of focused. I have in my hand my notes. I've prepared. I'm ready to go. As you can see, the mayor in this picture, he's armed with nothing but conviction. There's nothing in his hands, but running through his mind, I could tell you from being next to him that day was miraculous. He, as you all know him, he's very easy to smile. He has a great smile. That day, he wasn't smiling. Might have been the red-eye flight, but he had work to do. And that picture shows us getting ready to walk into the meeting with the NBA, and the kind of approach that Kevin had to that project. It was a great day. I'm going to go back to it for 1 second. We were in a holding room at the St. Regis Hotel, just the mayor, Darius, Canal, and I, and we were kind of preparing, and all of a sudden the door opens and in walks the contingent from Anaheim, along with the former owners of the team. And we thought, this is our room. What are you doing here? And in his courteous, gracious way, he very quickly, the mayor, said, you know what, let's go find our own room. So we walked out within seconds. We found our own room, and we were preparing for the day, at least I was. At no time during that day did the mayor practice his presentation in front of me. He didn't ask me what I was going to say. There was just sort of an unspoken communication. We walked into the room. There's Commissioner Stern, probably about, 12 or 14 owners, all of which wish they had Kevin Johnson playing for him in his days on the hard court. And I was prepared for a typical mayor speak, talking about the demographics, talking about what the city of Sacramento had to offer, spelling out all the virtues of Sacramento, why the king should stay here. But in the first 5 seconds, I knew this wasn't a typical mayor, and I knew this wasn't a typical day. Just like he did in his 12 years in the NBA, KJ came to win. He was not expecting to walk out of there with anything other than a guarantee. And I won't tell you exactly what he said that day because that's up to him to tell that story. But I will tell you that his message was personal. His message was honest. And his message could only be delivered by somebody who came from the NBA family. He looked at each of the NBA owners directly and said, I'm one of you. This is family. I represent everything that you want your former players to be. How can you take my team away from me? It was personal. It wasn't mayor speak, and it carried the day. He won that day, and by the time we left, and we jumped in the car to go back to LaGuardia to fly out, the Anaheim deal was dead. Some of that was what the mayor did. Most of it was what the mayor did. Some of it was Anaheim didn't present well that day, which was to our favor. And the smile that had been missing on the mayor all day, that easy smile came back. And it was there in the car, and the rest of that drive out to the airport and the conversations afterwards, there was a great smile. Seattle came to call after that. They were armed with Microsoft money. They were the next opponent. The mayor scouted them out, developed a perfect strategy, and while the game went into overtime, he still won. So make no mistake, as I look at where we are today, and when Kevin sat down this morning next to me, he leaned over and he said, can you believe where we're at? Can you believe that we did this? There was never a doubt in my mind that we were going to do this. There was never a doubt in my mind that the Kings were going to stay in Sacramento, despite Anaheim, despite Seattle, despite the great opportunities that both of those cities presented. This was Sacramento's team, and that was not going to change that day in New York. It wasn't going to change any day since then. So while the mayor says what a difference a year makes, I can tell you with this mayor what a difference a day makes. So I'm going to take you real quickly through a couple case studies that I think are important for you to know. You've had other people from Denver come speak to you. You've experienced Denver. Denver's been a really strong case study for a lot of projects like this. I know you've had the former head of our downtown Denver partnership come address you. You've had our current mayor, Michael Hancock, come address you. You've had our former mayor and current governor, John Hickenlooper, address you. So I feel a little sheepish being the fourth and least high-profile Denverite to come speak to you, but I am the first Denverite to come since we've legalized marijuana. So you never know what you're going to get today. When I moved to Denver in 1995, we had two sports franchises, the Broncos and the Nuggets. They were playing in antiquated facilities on the other side of Interstate 25. They weren't connected to downtown at all. And 6 years later, from 1995 to 2001, we opened a new ballpark for our Rockies, a team we recruited and into expansion. We built a new arena called the Pepsi Center, and we also got the Avalanche to add to that arena, and we built a new stadium for the Broncos. I was fortunate enough to be involved in all three of those projects. And so in just 6 years, we now had 3 new venues and 4 teams playing there, not just 2. 3 years after that, we finished tripling the size of our convention center, and the transformation and rebirth of our downtown was born. From an economic standpoint and a timeline standpoint, you see those 4 projects. The economics, we've got, I'm just going to hit a few important benchmarks or metrics for you, because I think it's important for you to understand what your future not might look like, but will look like. Taxable sales increased by more than $40 million from the year prior to opening Coors Field. $40 million. Lodo properties adjacent to the stadium previously assessed, and I know when I told you this last night, Janie, I think you were a little surprised. Those properties were sold for $1.77 a foot prior to our sports facilities being built. They subsequently sold for $27 a square foot. Remarkable. This is the kind of generation that your downtown is going to see. Downtown population, this is a really important fact, grew by at a rate of 45% when the whole region was growing at 18. It became cool to live downtown. It became desirable to live downtown. Office and commercial projects, we had 30 new or renovated office buildings totaling $819 million in that 10-year stretch. 110,000 people worked downtown. Lodo, the lower downtown section of Denver, saw 28 new projects totaling 730 new units, $437 million in total residential development. Central Platte Valley, the area behind our railroad station, which was a wasteland, was undeveloped completely, and within a few years, 4,200 residential units were constructed. Retail and restaurant, food and beverage sales tax collections for Lodo increased 651%. That's not bad. That's an amazing statistic. Lodo's sales tax collections were more than $4.7 million in 1995, 86% increase from 94. We built 26 new TOD projects. You already have light rail running through your downtown. We had to bring it. When I was president of Pepsi Center, we put together a private sector task force to help RTD figure out a way to expand our light rail. You already have it here. It's ready. A few other quick case studies. Kansas City Power and Light District. We built a Sprint Center in Kansas City. That spurred $835 million worth of mixed-use development. 9 square blocks of entertainment, retail, office, residential, open-air music venue, plans for convention center expansion, new H&R Block headquarters, part of a $4.5 billion urban renaissance in downtown Kansas City, the largest entertainment district in the Midwest. All happened because the Sprint Center was thoughtfully built in the right location downtown. LA Live, some of you are familiar with this. Adjacent to the Staples Center, $2.5 billion, 4 million square foot tourist-oriented sports entertainment district adjacent to Staples Center and LA Convention Center. A 54-story, 1,000-room hotel complex that combined the JW Marriott and the Ritz-Carlton, and 224 luxury condominiums that were built as part of the Ritz. 40,000 square foot open-air plaza, a dozen restaurants and clubs immediately across the street, Nokia Theatre and Nokia Club. Nokia Theatre seats 7,100, and the club within Nokia seats 2,400, which features up-and-coming music acts, broadcast facilities, 14-screen movie theater, Grammy Museum, offices for AEG, ESPN, and Herbalife. And now we're planning to build a new football stadium. After we relocate the convention center, the West Hall of the convention center will be 1.7 million square feet, 68,000 seat football stadium. And now we'll have 1.1 million square feet of contiguous space in the convention center in LA. We also renovated a great deal of green space in and around the complex as well. It's a project we're working on right now in Edmonton, Alberta. We aren't revealing a lot of these statistics yet, but some of them are, it's a $480 million arena, $7 million light rail system or transit stop, $15 million outdoor indoor pedways. And for those of you that have been to Alberta, you know pedways are important. 21 million 1,000-seat community rink attached to the arena, $53 million winter garden. And some of the images that you see immediately around the arena, all of those tall buildings are new. Those are being planned, being designed right now, combination of high-rise offices, residential, retail, and hotel uses. So what are the lessons learned from that? One, a true destination for Sacramentans. Yes, this is a building that Rob and the AECOM team are designing to be a showcase worldwide. But this has to work for Sacramento. This has to be a building that all of you are excited to go embrace. It needs to be the gathering space for the entire Sacramento community to experience and celebrate the Kings NBA championships, celebrate the architectural awards that this building and other buildings that are developed in downtown are going to experience. It's a place for all of you to come. And by the way, when we were building the Pepsi Center, the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. When we were building the Broncos Stadium, the Broncos won the Super Bowl. So while we're building this one, we've started something here. Oh. 3, genuine source of architecture and cultural pride. I think all of you, when you saw the rendering today, were proud of it. You should be. It's a masterpiece. It's a beautiful architectural building, but it's also going to stand as a great cultural building. And it's part of a sincere live, work, play strategy for downtown. And it has to be live, work, play. It can't just be work. So what's your story? I call it from blight to basketball and beyond. As I walk around this city, and I walk around a lot here, I feel comfortable. I walk down the K, I walk into Old Sac, I walk in every district throughout downtown, and I'm proud of it. I'm not from here, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it more for the future than I am for its current condition, quite honestly. I don't need to tell all of you, you walk these streets every day. Some of these are not pretty pictures. These are pictures of what it is today. These are the before shots. I'm looking forward to showing you the after shots and you showing yourselves in the years to come what the after shots look like. But these are some of the storefronts that have been for lease forever, some of the buildings that quite honestly need some TLC. But as I walk down those streets, I remember vividly 1994, walking down Wewata, Wazee, Wine Coop, 17th, 18th Street in Denver, and they were worse. You've actually got better bones than Denver did at the time. This is a district that once this arena comes, will regenerate. It will see the kind of statistics, the kind of growth, the kind of development that I just walked through with LA and Kansas City and Edmonton and what happened in Denver. This arena is the catalyst that you need. When we did the feasibility study and we were looking at the rail yard site, the mayor's right. It shouldn't be at the edge of downtown. It needs to be in the heart. It's the heartbeat of downtown. That's what this building is. It's what it's going to be. We're going to make sure that it gets built right, and it's going to be that catalyst. I will tell you that I put up 4 examples of positive. I could have put 1 or 2 up of negatives. I will come right out and say that the building that we built in Newark has not yet done what we had hoped it to do. Now, Newark has some challenges, but it's a building that was built in the right place, and I think it still will be a catalyst for rejuvenating downtown Newark. I think as I look at those prior pictures and I see what this arena, and I'm not going to go into my description of this arena because Rob and his team will do that in the coming days, and I think the mayor's comments were eloquent in terms of what this building is and what it means for Sacramento. But it is going to activate your downtown. And I think that your downtown, I know it's sort of a superpower to see the future, and I have no superpowers, but I feel like I have been there. I feel like I know what your downtown is going to look like after this arena comes. It will activate your downtown. It will reconnect your city. It'll celebrate the city of a million trees. It'll celebrate the Delta and the foothills and the Sierras. It will take advantage of your climate and your light and the materials, the unique materials that you have in this region. So your downtown is going to look very different 3 years from now, 4 years from now, when we open it. And we'll look forward to all of you being there for it, for the opening. A few quick points to close on. Make downtown Sacramento safe. This is the key. You have to be able to walk downtown and feel 100% safe. Otherwise, you're not going to accomplish number 2, which is you have to have residents. You have to have people live downtown. That was the difference in Denver. That was the difference in Los Angeles. It was the difference in Kansas City. It's all about bringing residential downtown. And once you build the arena, maintain that collaborative spirit that you all came together on to build the arena and all the other developments that you're going to do. So what's the future of Sacramento? How will your story be told? That's up to you. I could put a whole bunch of slides up here to show you what I think the future of Sacramento is. Doesn't matter. I'm originally from Illinois. I now live in Denver. I'm going to be here a lot over the coming years. But it's your story, not mine. This particular speech and others I've given over the years on the impact of sports facilities and entertainment venues, this one's different. I stand before you today, as Kevin said, as a true believer. And this one has become personal to me. It became personal to me because it was personal to the mayor, and I was with the mayor when we were working so hard to come up with an arena plan and sell this to the NBA. It's a mission that we started to keep the Kings, and it was honestly a true David versus Goliath moment. We were up against every odds you can imagine, and this one struck a nerve with me. And I intend to see this one through to the end, and I intend to make sure that Icon, together with the tremendously talented people at AECOM, both Rob and John and Mike and others, and also Turner Construction, that's our construction partner in this project, we're going to build a terrific, world-class arena for this town. And we're going to see it through to the end. It's going to be on budget, it's going to be on schedule, and the Kings will win an NBA championship there. So pardon me for 1 second while my religious side comes through. And for those of you, my fellow Catholics in the room, you'll maybe understand this. But I was contemplating this speech as I was sitting in Mass on Sunday. And the second reading came up, and it was a letter from St. Paul to the Corinthians. And he talked about not being factional, being together, being united in every thought and every deed and every purpose that you come together around. And I know that's idyllic. Most of the Bible is. But when you have your disagreements and you want to debate and have your spirited debates, do so with the purpose of perfecting your idea, not to divide yourself. And if you do that and come together, and I know there are groups still, Stop and others that want this arena to not go forward, we need to listen to them. We need to hear them. We need to hear and understand them. But in the end, this arena will get built. And we need to do it in a together, united fashion. So to me, that doesn't mean don't have arguments, don't have debates. Of course you're going to have those. Just make sure you emerge united and carry that united feeling not only for building the arena, but for building the hotel and building the office building and building the residential towers and everything else that's going to be built in this town. I've seen firsthand in Denver, Los Angeles, Kansas City, and other places what Sacramento is going to look like. I'm thrilled. I'm excited for all of you. I can't wait to be a part of it. You're about to propel your city forward, and all of us around the country are watching with great interest, and we expect Sacramento to be the next case study. Denver, we're kind of done. It's time for Sacramento to carry that forward. You be the case study that all other cities building arenas and stadiums look to as the model. Your planets have aligned. You've got great city leadership, both in the mayor's office and the city manager's office, also at city council. Tremendous leadership. You have a great ownership group. I've had great moments with Vivek and Mark Mastroff and Chris Kelly and Jeff Jacobs and Mark Friedman and others. This is a great group. Their interest is only one thing, to win a championship and to build this city around that momentum. You have great management, both at the city level with John Shirey and John Dangberg, and also at the Kings with the addition of Chris Granger, and you have Martina, and you have John. You have tremendous management. You have people that can make this happen. Not only build the building, but build a great team and win. So I'm going to close with the comment that I made at the end of my 2.5-hour presentation on the feasibility study. Seize the day, Sacramento. Embrace your future. I promise you, we'll be right here with you. We'll get this arena built. It's going to be something that you're all very proud of. And the building that you saw in the paper today is going to come to reality. And it'll be our pleasure to bring it to you. So thank you all very much. It's an honor being here today. And thank you, Michael.